Okay, I think we are ready to go live. What is good, everybody? It is the Godfather of VR, the ageless one of the man, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a live stream. And today I want to talk about a couple of things that JD Maxx was good. Put on the goggles. Jamal Adams, what is good? So today I want to talk about a couple of things. And in the title, as you can see, PSVR 2. It was kind of, I think it was by Bloomberg Report. We'll get to it. I'll find the actual article that I posted on Twitter, and we'll go over it. That PSVR 2 is supposed to be coming to till holiday of 2022. That's very disappointing, and I plan to give my reasons why I think that's is disappointing. And the one that's the recent news that kind of shook up the VR community is that Oculus plans to put ads in their games or in the headset in some capacity. So a lot of people have got to feel some type of way about it. So I plan to get into that. So I also want to thank everybody who tuned in to the stream where I just that I did a few minutes ago, showing my son's latest work on VR chat, where he recreated some more Gears of War maps. He has projects in the works, and once those projects, as they get closer to the surface, I'll bring you guys up to speed on them. So please support my son. You see one of his streams. You see me streaming some of his work. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. So please support my son. I think we might be staring at another dev in the making. So, I got to do my part to help him get off the ground. So, excuse me. I also want to apologize for this bare bones stream, because YouTube has gotten to the point where if you even sneeze, you get hit with a copyright claim. So just decided to hit you guys head on with a stream with no music, no cute presentation. I think this is one of those streams where what I have to say is more important than how I say it. So no music, no cute thumbnails, none of that stuff. Just getting right down to the point. So let's talk about PSVR not coming until holiday of 2022. They say holiday of 2022, but I put Christmas of 2022 just to shorten the title. So let me find the article, and then I'm going to share my screen. Looking forward right now. I think this is coming from Bloomberg, and I guess they've reported on a few things. Okay, so I found it. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and we'll talk about this. All right, PS5 VR headset to launch holiday 2022 with OLED display report. A new report from Bloomberg claims that the PS5 VR headset will launch in the holiday 2022 period with an OLED display. That part is good. We definitely need an OLED display because that's going to make the blacks black. From what I understand, LCD panels are cheaper, but the blacks aren't as good because the pixels are backlit. Where I guess with OLEDs, the pixels are individually lit. So I don't understand it. That's the way it came out of, that's the way I read it on an article, or that's the way I heard it come out of somebody's mouth. I don't know the technicalities of that stuff. But in any case, the article, which largely covers Japan's display incorporate shift to making LCD VR displays, cites people with knowledge of the matter and saying the device will launch next year, and future OLED panels from Samsung. The original PSVR uses an OLED display, as did original Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, but Facebook and HTC now use LCD panels. Bloomberg reports suggest that this shift to LCD will continue in VR, but with Sony as the exception to the rule. They got enough bank to do it. But then again, so does Facebook. But since they were, trying to take the hit with the Oculus Quest. They had to get costs down, so LCD panels was part of it. LCD panels are typically available in higher resolutions and usually cost less, but unlike OLED, LCD can display true black since there's a backlit behind the pixels instead of emitting their own light. Yeah, just pretty much what I was saying. Sony confirmed it was working on a new VR headset for the PS5 earlier this year, but stated it will not be released in 2021, which we knew that. I figured 2022, but I was hoping in the first half of 2022. A holiday 2022 window isn't too surprising. Developer kits for the device are being sent out around now, giving studios a decent window to prepare software for the device. The original PSVR launched in October of 2016 too. That said, the window between now and late 2022 leaves plenty of room for Facebook to grow in the VR space. The company's Oculus Quest 2 standalone headset has already outsold every other Oculus headset combined, and the company has acknowledged for a possible pro version of the device that could well also launch in 2022. Last month, we reported that the PSVR or the PS5 VR headset, which doesn't have an official name, featured a resolution of 4,000 by 2040 pixels per eye, a lens separation adjustment dial, an IPD adjustment, a lens separation adjustment dial, and gaze tracking capable of foveated rendering, which that would definitely help in reducing the stress of the PS5, therefore being able to give you better looking visuals without stressing the console as hard. So, that Floyd was good. The same Bloomberg that said we're going to switch pro. Well, okay, so let me take us back to the top just so I can use that as kind of a, well, here's the thing. I'm not terribly surprised if it would launch in, say, of October 2022. But it would be disappointing because the original, just like they said, the original PSVR launched in October of 2016. I bought it day one and stuck it in the closet and didn't give it to my son until that Christmas. It's not too surprising, but what's disappointing about it is the way Sony is handling VR altogether, because like with Oculus, they advertise the shit out of the Oculus Quest 2. Anybody who watches any kind of VR content on YouTube, almost every other ad is some sort of Oculus ad. They advertise the shit out of it. Now, Sony laid the groundwork for where we're at right now with VR, but Oculus is taking it to the next level. It's not just the fact that the Oculus Quest 2 is portable and wireless and you can take it everywhere you want. It's also the fact that they advertise the shit out of it. It's like, so is Oculus's advertising as well as the headset itself is what brought VR to where we're at right now. That being said, Sony, in my opinion, has done a lousy job promoting VR. With the original VR, I don't think Sony promoted it that well, and it looks like they're doing the same shit now. They're only giving us tidbits of information with PSVR 2. Now, I think it might have been PSVR Without Parole. Brian, I think I was watching one of his streams, and they were talking about the orb controllers that we saw. When Sony revealed that, the only reason why it got revealed was because it got leaked. So if that was to be true, God knows when Sony would have finally revealed those controllers. And I don't know, when you stop and look at it, why would you reveal controllers for the next headset and then the headset's not due out for a whole year and a half? So I think that I think that kind of gives what Brian said some weight, as far as the only reason why we saw the controllers is because it got leaked. So 1 second, folks. Sorry, we're starting to get a little bit dry. That Floyd, you said definitely. They just dropped Vader Immortal on PSVR and they're silent. I mean, when you look at the whole body of work of what they're doing with PR, with VR in particular, it's kind of it's head scratching. Over on the PS4, they pretty much removed the VR section of the PlayStation Store. You can't go into there's no VR section for you to go check out anymore. In the store, you have to, if there's a specific game you're looking for, you have to type it in the search bar. They moved the VR section over to the PS5 store. Doesn't, I mean, if you want to make people transition to the PS5, you know, shutting down the store at the PS4 isn't going to make me jump up and say, I got to go get a PS5 now. Showing us what's to come in the future is going to make people go get a PS5. As far as I'm concerned, as far as the VR part of it goes, I mean, right now the only reason I have a PS5 is sure as the fuck ain't because of the current PSVR. I still have my PlayStation Pro. It's in the bedroom, and my PlayStation VR is in the bedroom attached to my PS4 Pro. I don't see any point in putting it on the PS5 when all I'm going to see is the same thing on my PS5. So I don't see any point in taking up space on my PS5 for games that's going to pretty much look exactly the same as it would on the PlayStation Pro. So there's no point in me putting my VR headset on my PS5. It's in the bedroom on my PS4 Pro. That being said, my PS4 Pro gets way more work than my PS5. I turn my PS4 Pro on every day, and my PS5 probably only gets turned on once or twice a week. The only time I really put it through some extensive play was, you know, playing Ratchet and Clank and playing Call of Duty Cold War. Other than that, it's been spotty. So getting to how they're handling this shit now, I've heard, you know, people have kind of talked about Sony having some kind of event at the end of this month, which, you know, I don't know. And it's also been rumored that the headset would be revealed at this event. I don't know about that either. But also, I think I also read an article at Upload VR that said someone, you know, revealed what the headset looks like. I guess it's got 4 cameras, and it's using and it'll be using inside out tracking, pretty much like we figured, you know. So I mean, whoever revealed that information didn't really reveal what we didn't already know, because that's industry standard right now. Just about every headset that uses some, you know, inside out tracking has 4 cameras. In the case of the Oculus Rift S, it's got 5. So, but I'll say this. I do want them to hurry up and reveal the headset and get it out of the way so we can start seeing games. What I don't want, and this is why I say this shit's going to be disappointing. If Sony waits until like September or November or even like February of next year just to show us what the headset looks like, it could be a couple of months later before we see what kind of games are coming for this headset. And that's why this shit is disappointing, that the headset is rumored to come in holiday of 2022, because Sony has been dead silent in the way they've been handling this VR situation. And I think we deserve better than that. You know, it's a given that the VR community is definitely looking forward to it. And sure, they're still putting out a couple of games on the current VR headset, but I think after Sniper Elite comes out, which I think releases July 8th or something, which I'm going to go ahead and get that game. I wasn't going to get that game at first because it wasn't, because I don't think it has multiplayer, but now I think I'm going to go ahead and get it. And I just don't know what format I'm going to get it on, because it's supposed to be on all of them. But I think after Sniper Elite VR, what major title is going to be coming for PlayStation VR? So maybe Sony thinks that they want to go ahead and get Sniper Elite out of the way before they start giving us information about PSVR 2. I don't know what they're thinking, but again, the bottom line is we're going to get minimal information from Sony. I mean, like, I'm going to be pissed if Sony releases like a trailer on YouTube where the only thing they show is the PlayStation logo and then the outer curves of the new headset, and then that's it. And we don't get any information for 2 months, because I'm really sick of this teasing shit. I don't, I'm at a point where I don't want any more of this crap where we get little bit of tiny bits of information and then we don't get anything for a couple of months. So I think the time has come to stop putting VR on the back burner for PlayStation VR, because in my opinion, mission accomplished. The PlayStation 5 is the most sought after video piece of hardware that's out there right now in terms of entertainment. And people, I think by now, people know that the console itself is still a higher priority than the VR headset. So I think the time has come to start giving us some information so we can start having something to look forward to instead of all this damn silence. Like it's totally black. As far as I'm concerned, as far as PSVR 2, it's like we're in a dark room and all I see is a damn keyhole. That's the only light that we see coming through there right now. It's time for us to get some more shit. So I'm really tired of this shit. But I do have some reasons why I believe they might be waiting until holiday of 2022. One of the reasons that I think is because they're speculating that they want to give devs more time to get their games ready. But I think Brian Paul made a good point that a lot of these games that we're going to see on PSVR 2 are games that are already, I think it's summer 2022. I hope you're right, Will Clark. That my original Death Floyd, the PSVR 2 connector for PS5 sucks ass. Yeah, I got one, but again, my PSVR is on my PlayStation Pro, so the only reason why I even broke my neck to get that adapter is because it's free. Because by the time I got my adapter, I had already been hearing from people that it basically reverts itself back to a PS4. So you're not seeing any difference between the PS5 and the PS4 Pro. So that being said, that connector, that converter is just collecting dust. So coming back to why I think they might be waiting until holiday of 2022, like I said, to give devs more time. But Brian Paul made a good point that a lot of these games, which I was about to allude to before I came to the comments, that a lot of the games that we're going to see are going to be games that are already on PC. That being said, I think a lot of these games are already done and ready to go. And all they have to do is port these games over to the PS5, which I highly doubt that's going to take a year and a half, especially with the Orb controllers, because the Orb controllers are similar to the Oculus touch controllers. That being said, I don't really see them having a situation where it's going to take them a year to optimize a PC game. You said the games have to be updated to take advantage of the PS5. I get that, but I mean, do you really think it's going to take that long? I mean, even right now, when these developers have these staggered releases, it'll release on PC first and then release on PSVR a couple months later, or vice versa. It'll come out on PSVR first and then, PC or Quest a couple of months later. So I can't see a lot of these games like I'll give you an example, like maybe a game like Contractors. If Contractors were to come to PS5 on PSVR 2, which I think it is a good possibility it will at some point, I can't see a game like that taking a year for them to update it and optimize it and map the controllers and shit like that for the PS5. As far as I'm concerned, the only thing that's going to separate the Orb controllers for the PSVR 2 from the touch controllers of the Oculus Quest 2 or the Oculus Rift is that the Orb controllers will be using the same haptic feedback technology that we got on the DualSense. That's the only difference that I'm going to see. That being said, I don't know about development, but I just don't see how something like this is going to take a year. I think probably the biggest reason why Sony might be waiting, if they're going to do it, wait until holiday of 2022 to launch the headset, is because they must be planning some blockbuster titles to make this headset a system seller, to make it the must-have item for Christmas. And what blockbuster titles could launch on this system to say, I got to go get one of these headsets? I originally thought that GT7, I still think GT7 is going to be a launch game for the headset, but I don't think they're planning on using it as that game that says, I got to run out and get one of these. I think the games that they plan on launching that's going to make everybody say, I got to go out and get one of these headsets, I think Grand Theft Auto 5 and Resident Evil Village are going to be the two games that's going to make people say, I got to go get one of these headsets. Now, over on the PC side, we already have, we actually have both of those games in VR to an extent. You know, there's a VR mod for Grand Theft Auto 5, and then through the use of Vorpex, you can play Resident Evil Village in VR. But for them to come out on PSVR 2, this won't be mod. This will be coming from the actual devs, you know, and it'll be like officially modified and formatted in VR. So I think that's going to be their blockbuster titles that would make PSVR 2 the must-have item for Christmas. So that's really all I can think of, because right now the Oculus Quest is killing it. I think the Oculus Quest was a must-have item for Christmas last year. I also think that it might be the must-have item for Christmas this year. And it is rumored that the Oculus Quest Pro could come out next year. So that could end up being another must-have item for Christmas. And not only that, I would be led to believe that the Oculus Quest Pro, that Oculus might offer that at a competitive price, because, you know, I'll leave that there because that'll segue into the next subject that I'm not quite ready for yet. But yeah, long story short, I think the Oculus Quest Pro, whatever they plan to call it, I think they'll offer that at a competitive price, because they'll be in a position to do that. So, short story long, this is disappointing, because it's like a whole year and a half. I just don't want to deal with another year and a half of minimal information, teasing, silence for 3 months. I really don't want to deal with that. But, what are you going to do? So, at this point right now, the only thing I can say is I hope they reveal the headset more sooner than later, just so they can get it out of the way, and then we can start seeing what kind of games are going to come to PlayStation VR. So I do think, before we move on to the next subject, I do think some of the launch titles that we could see, in my opinion, for PSVR 2, because I think there's going to be a big lineup. I don't think it's going to be like 2 or 3 games. I think it's going to be a bunch of games, because I think a lot of these games that's on PC right now, I think the devs right now are getting ready to put these games on PSVR 2. That being said, I think in addition to Resident Evil Village and Grand Theft Auto 5 being launch titles for PSVR 2, I think it's possible that games like Half-Life Alyx could be a launch title for PSVR 2. The first Lone Echo, I think that could be a launch title. And then a ton of smaller VR games. So there's gonna be plenty. There's gonna be plenty of games to play when the headset launches because there's already a ton of stuff out there to play on PC. But one thing that I do think is not gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of games, a lot of VR games on Steam. This straight garbage, otherwise known as shovelware. And unless Sony's outright greedy, I don't think some of these games will appear on PSVR 2 because other than that garbage Warzone popping up at the PlayStation Store, I think Sony's pretty strict about their quality because in the case of Warzone, you know, that was a disaster. That game had some big ambitions of being like a 50-player vehicles and all that kind of stuff, and it just ended up being dog crap. So something else, I'll say this. Here's another thing I will say. I do not think, I think it isn't like the new Call of Duty as well as the new Battlefield. I think they're supposed to release in November. If that's true, then we know that the new headset will not release in November. I think it's either going to release in October or December because if both the new Call of Duty game and the new Battlefield game launch in November, oh, wait a minute, that's this year. So, no, let me scratch that. So, no, they're not going to bump heads. I got my dates mixed up. Sorry about that. And I forgot those games, the new Battlefield releases this year. It releases in October, in fact. Okay, so that puts us right back to square one where, hell, you know, it could be October, November, or December. I'm hoping it's the first half of 2021. Again, you know, the bottom line is I think the only thing that makes sense why you would launch this headset on Christmas of 2022 is if you want to try to make this thing the must-have item for Christmas. And I think there's only two ways you can make this headset be the must-have item for Christmas, and that is by launching this headset at an affordable price. I don't think they can do the $500 thing again if they want mass adoption for this headset. And they got to launch some blockbuster titles with that. And again, that brings me back to Grand Theft Auto 5 and Resident Evil in VR. So, and I think Resident Evil Village will undoubtedly be a PSVR 2 exclusive. If you want to play it any other way in VR, you're going to have to do it on PC with modifications or through Vorpex. So that's that. Let's move on to the next subject, and that is ads on the Oculus headset. Let me go and find that real quick. Oh, I can close that and then go back and find it on Steam. Not Steam, Twitter. I got a couple other things that I want to talk about, but those were the main subjects that I want to talk about. See here, Springfest jumped off, where you can go to Steam and try like over 700 demos. So definitely go check that out. Shout out to my good friend Ham VR, who cracked 1,000 subs not too long ago. Let me see. I think I'm going to have to go all the way back up to the top. Oh, yeah. Target price drop brings Oculus Quest 2 to $250. No sense to share the screen on that. If you can get one, definitely jump on it. Let's see here. Onward, as I guess they made some audio improvements, so we might be checking that out Monday on First Person Shooter Monday. Republic is getting a PSVR release soon. 3080 RTX 3080 prices might start dropping following Bitcoin bust. Says, that's interesting. I don't know if I should cover that. I make so many doggone posts on Twitter. So it looks like I'll just have to here. Oh, that's what it was. Because I know I put it there somewhere. Here we go. And let me share my screen again. See here, Facebook will start putting ads in Oculus Quest apps. So looking at that picture right there, it looks like it's an ad right across the rail. Ooh, I got mixed feelings about something like that. So Facebook will soon begin testing ads inside its Oculus Quest virtual reality system in the coming weeks. Ads will start appearing inside the Resolution game's title Blastin', as well as 2 other unnamed apps. Facebook will later expand the system based on user feedback, saying it aims to create a self-sustaining platform for VR development. Facebook introduced ads on the Oculus mobile app last month, and it's used limited Oculus data to target Facebook advertising since 2019. But this is the first major foray into putting ads inside the Oculus VR platform itself. Once we see how this test goes and incorporate feedback from developers and the community, we'll provide more details on when ads may become more broadly available across the Oculus platform and in Oculus mobile app, the company said in the blog post. So this is a rather lengthy article. I'm not gonna go into it. You guys get the idea. So they're gonna start Blastin'. Looks like it's gonna be the first game that they're gonna put ads in the game, and you can see by that picture right there. There looks like there's an advertisement on what appears to be like a guardrail inside the game. I'm not so sure I care for that part right there, because that's a little bit. That looks like it could break the immersion a little bit. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, I mean, when I first saw it, it wasn't really that big a deal to me at first, because we know that's how Facebook moves. You know, we know how Facebook operates, and we know Facebook's main goal is to get your information so they could use it to, to get advertisement money. You know, but Google's doing it too. Everybody's doing it. So it is what it is. Will Clark, I rarely use my Oculus. I hope Sony can save VR. Hey, but look, you know what? It's funny that you brought that up, because that was in the back of my mind. Sony filed a patent, I think it was a year ago, to put ads in games. And people speculated that what Sony could possibly do was maybe you would see some ads while the screen was loading. That being said, if Oculus does this, where they put ads inside the headset and they're making a shit ton of money off of it, and it's not intrusive, Sony will do the same thing. So so do not think for 1 minute that Sony won't cross that line. So now coming back to the Oculus part of this big topic, I think depending on the game, actually depending on the game, ads are actually a good thing. If I'm running down the street, if I'm playing a VR game and I'm running down a city street and there's all kinds of buildings next to me, I would rather see an actual Burger King restaurant right there on the street instead of a restaurant that says Mega Burger on it. In that aspect, ads would be a good thing because it would add realism to it. In racing games, Facebook makes money off ads, so that makes sense. Sony doesn't do intrusive ads. No, they don't. But I'm saying don't think for 1 minute that they won't cross that line. I don't think Sony would do anything intrusive. So I don't even think Facebook is going to do it. I don't think you're going to have a situation where like YouTube is like really messed up. You'll be in the middle of watching a good podcast, a good video, and then it'll stop so they can, run some ads. I don't think you're going to have that with Oculus. I don't think you're going to be in the middle of playing a game and then it stops right in the middle of you playing the game and run an ad through there. I mean, because if they did that, so many people would get rid of their headsets. So I don't think they're going to go that far with it. But coming back to what I was saying, that I think some games you got to have ads in there to make it more realistic. Like take racing games, for instance. Ads are all over the place in racing games. Even Madden, like you just said, right there. A real football stadium. You see along the walls, right where the front row seats are, is like riddled with advertisements. The shit wouldn't even look right if it was just like a plain blue wall with no advertisements on it. Same thing with a racing game. This when you play a racing game and you pass all these billboards, they got advertisements on them. When you go under a bridge, the bridge has advertisements on it. That's real life. So that part of it, ads are a good thing because it adds immersion and realism to the game. So Automobile Lister 2 is a prime example. When that game first launched and you were going through the tracks, a lot of the billboards, none of them had ads on them. They all said Ryzen, and that's the name of the developer for that game. I think eventually they started putting the ads in there, but when the game first launched, no, those ads weren't there. And so in that aspect, yes, ads is a good thing. But if it gets to the point where it's interrupting your game, or you're in the middle of playing the game and you see some little pop-up off to the right, then no, that's not a good thing. But Rendered Reality, they touched on this subject today, and they really got me to thinking. Developers, because as of right now with the ads, I guess they're leaving it up to the devs whether they want to put those ads in their games or not. But let's be honest, since this ad revenue shit is where Facebook is going, and I'm sure the devs are going to get a little bit of that revenue by allowing ads in their games, it's going to put you in a position where if you're a content creator or a dev, it's going to put you in a position where you actually going to have to choose sides. Even me. Here's why I say that. Render Reality, when they were talking about this, it got me thinking. From the dev standpoint, if they're a small developer and their game is struggling, then they might most definitely put ads in their game so they can get extra revenue, because after all, they are trying to make money. So the flip side to that is that you might have a dev who's got a game out, and the game might be an excellent game, but it's got ads in it. And then they go off and ask these YouTubers to review the game, and it might be an excellent game, but the YouTuber gives it a shitty rating because it's got ads in it. You know, I was about to give this game an 8, but now I'm giving it a 3 because it's got ads in it. Because of something like that, devs might end up having to be a little more selective who they give these keys to. Because some of these YouTubers speak their mind, and so much to the point where it might actually hurt them. And even a small channel like me, like I've got 972 subs as of right now, but I've seen enough comments in some of my streams to let me know that even though I'm a small channel, devs are watching me. So, you out of here, Will? And thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. Have a good evening yourself. So, that being said, if a dev wants to put ads in their games, they might steer clear of giving keys to content creators who will trash their game for having ads in it. So, coming back to my side of it, well, let's stay with the devs first. But at the same time, while trying to possibly avoid these content creators who might trash their game for having ads in it, at the same time, when the game gets out and it's got ads in it, when you go to the Oculus store and you see these reviews, it might get a shit ton of bad reviews for having ads in it, because I guess it's already happening with that blasting game. I guess there's already getting like 1-star reviews and stuff because it's got ads in it. So that's what I mean by they're going to have to pick a side. You know, you exclude content creators because you don't want them trashing your game because it's got ads in it. But then when the game actually gets out to the public, you run the risk of the game getting a bad review because it's full of ads. So on the content creator side of that, I'll have to make a decision. If I want to get a key from a dev, do I have to be careful of not trashing a game because it's got ads in it? Because then my credibility could be damaged too, because if I get a key for a game that's got ads in it and I go off and say it's a great game and you should pick it up and blah, 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 and then people go off and pick it up and then they come back at me because the game's full of ads. You said this was a great game. It's trash. It's full of ads and that kind of stuff. So both devs and content creators, I think, is going to put you in a position where you have to make a decision which direction you want to go. So do I go in the direction of, hey, this is a good game, but be warned, it's full of ads, and then people don't buy the game, and then I get myself, blacklisted from devs, something like that? Or do I go off and say it's a great game and don't mention anything about ads, and then they go off and buy it, and then they come back trashing me for not mentioning that the game has ads in it? And then, like I said, on the dev side, they've got to make a decision. They're going to want the big YouTubers to promote their games. But if it's a YouTuber that's brutally honest and say, yeah, this game is full of ads, I would have gave it a good rating if it wasn't ads in it. They might try to steer clear of those YouTubers, but you're going to lose some exposure. But if you go with the YouTubers who won't mention that the game has ads in it and have them promote it, and then they buy it, then then the ham was good. Then you got people upset that they bought a game and wasn't told that it had ads in it. So, Ham, thanks for popping in. I was about to wrap it up, but if you want to take a minute to pop in here and give your thoughts on this situation, I'll shoot you a link. So it's more or less following up on the conversation that we had last night of how I feel about ads getting ready to be in the Oculus headsets and us having to wait, till holiday of 2022 for PSVR. I gave my thoughts on that. So just a quick, just a quick refresher. I'm disappointed that PSVR 2 won't be out until 2022 because that means we're going to go through another year of silence and darkness from Sony, not keeping us up and not keeping us in the loop and just giving us minimal information. And then as far as Facebook putting ads in their in the headset, you made a post where you showed a clip from a set of Course de Competition where there was a billboard, and that's the right way to do ads, and everybody wins that way. So, but if you want to pop in here and give a quick thought on here, I'll shoot you a link. If not, then I'll get ready to wrap this up here in a few minutes. Oh, so PC is off, just chilling with the wife. Okay, cool. Still appreciate you popping in. So actually, let me go to Twitter and just maybe touch on one or two more subjects before I get out of here. Let's see here. Let me see here. Quest version 30 rolling out with microphone swap. Basically, long and short of it is version 30 for Quest, I guess, allows you to choose between, between game chat and party chat. So I guess if you're in a party chat with a bunch of people, you can opt to mute the game chat. So that's a good feature. I already mentioned that Onward improves the audio quality. So we might take a look at that for First Person Shooter Mondays. See here, Bethesda apologizes for Starfield Xbox exclusivity. Never mind, stop it. That's just console war crap. And see here, Airlink is coming to Quest 1. You know what? This is something that I'll talk about. I'll share my screen on this. Ham, you said, yeah, ads are a mixed bag. They can work well in certain circumstances. Example, ACC advertising, Coach Dave, and Fanatic products. Not only does it work well, it makes the game more realistic because, any game that, in my opinion, any racing game that doesn't have advertisements in it is not an accurate representation of that game. So racing games, you got to have advertisements in it in terms of billboards, in terms of the barriers having advertisements on it. You got to have that. So this next article I'm going to show you, it may seem like a small situation, but it's actually something that I think I've been paying attention to that I don't necessarily care for. So let me share my screen. You mean say if there could be a price option for games for free or cheap with ads, it could also increase the player base. Pay the normal game price, no ads. Yeah, you know what? I thought about that earlier too, Ham. Maybe $30 for the game with no ads, $25 for the game with ads. So at the end of the day, everybody's making money off of this shit except me, as far as being the end consumer. You know, the devs are making money off this ad. Facebook is making money off this ads. The retailers themselves, you know, they're making money by bringing shoppers to their website or, you know, or to their buildings. So everybody's making money off of this except the end user. So give some of that back to them by offering them a discount if they choose to let ads run through their experience. So excellent point. Okay, so this next one of the subjects that I want to talk about doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is to me because I think it points towards a bigger picture, one that I really didn't want to have to talk about, but yes, I'm going to talk about it. Let me see. Full course golf coming to Oculus Quest 2, beta sign up available. So Top Golf with Pro Putt is getting full swing courses, and you can sign up for the beta today. The game, currently only available on Oculus Quest, initially launched in May 2020 as a putting-only experience. In November, it added a full swing driving range with Top Golf minigames. The next major update will bring full swing golf courses, something no game on the Oculus Quest store currently offers. That is the key right there. Pay attention to that. Something no game on the Oculus Quest store currently offers. All right. Ryan Engel, founder and CEO of GolfScope, announced the feature on Twitter today alongside a beta sign-up form. Engel's tweet only mentions Quest 2. It is unclear if full courses will also be available on the original Quest. We reviewed Pro Putt's putting courses back when it first released, giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. We praised the realistic yet accessible gameplay and fun mini games, but noted there were only a limited number of courses. A lot has changed since our review, so we'll take another look as soon as we can after the update drops. This new update will be free to owners of the game. There's currently no word on a full release date, but you can sign up for the beta to be the first to try it. Why did I bring this up? The reason why is because there's already a full-blown golf game on the Oculus Quest called Experience Golf. I have already done streams of this game. In fact, let me see here. One second. Oh shit. When you type in Experience Golf Club VR, my video is the first one that comes up. And I think as far as this particular game goes, my stream might have the most views. It's got 2,000 views. There's another one here that has 1.5. Whoops, let me scratch that. BSPVR looks like he's got 16,000 views. So much for me ego tripping. So I'm going to turn this down. Fatal Phantom of Festo, the Canadian grizzly bear. What is good, my guy? Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this again. Share screen. It's probably going to look a little bit janky, though. All right, that's me playing. That's one of my streams of me playing Experience Golf. This is a full-blown golf game, but it is in App Lab. And in my opinion, there is no reason this game shouldn't be at the Oculus store. It is buried within App Lab. The only reason I found it is just because I was rummaging through App Lab. It's on App Lab, Ham. And that's why I'm bringing this up. This game should be at the Oculus store. To be a Quest game, I think it's got pretty good graphics. It's got all the mechanics you would expect to find in a full-blown golf game with draw, with spin, with fade, with wind coming into play, bunkers, water, all that stuff. It all comes into play. And then right there, you have that small monitor that shows you the flight of the ball and shows you where the ball landed. And then you also have a helicopter mode where you could take a helicopter ride over the entire course, so you can find out how to play your next shot. There's no reason this game, or to put it simply, this game absolutely should be at the official Oculus store instead of buried in App Labs. The game costs $15. And I think the game is worth every penny of that $15. And I'm thinking to myself, why is this game not at the official Oculus store? It makes no sense. Ham, you said for whatever reason, they haven't decided to submit it to the main store. Does it have multiplayer? Well, he's supposed to be working on it. But fact of the matter is, a lot of golf games don't have multiplayer. Like for instance, Everybody's Golf over on the PlayStation VR is actually an excellent game. But realistically, I've played golf games that are multiplayer. And if you make it a multiplayer where you have to watch every single player's shot, stroke for stroke, you're going to be there for 3 days playing 9 holes. In most cases on a multiplayer golf game, what happens is you walk up, you take your shot, and once you hit the ball, you see that blue line that arced over everything. That's my ball. And then everybody else, you'll just see like a red, a blue, a orange streak that represents all the other players because they're hitting their shots at the same time you're hitting yours. That's how most golf games work these days that are multiplayer. That being said, to me, I don't think it's really mandatory for a golf game to have multiplayer because, again, if you watch people take their shot, like for instance, I played Walkabout Mini Golf. That game took forever because I had to watch everybody take their individual shots. You said, I think Pro Putt was 15 E15. It has multiplayer, might be a Facebook requirement for sports gamers. Well, it's possible, but I am in their Discord, and I do know that multiplayer is something that they're working on right now. So I don't know. I mean, I still think, lack of multiplayer, I don't think that's a reason to keep this game off of the official store and keep it buried in App Lab. So where I'm trying to go with this is I'm wondering if Facebook is playing favorites with Pro Putt, with Top Golf Pro Putt, and want that to be the feature golf game at the official Oculus store. Fartis, Facebook might lock your Oculus Quest to the user's environment like an unlock key. I can only see Oculus getting more and more restricted as game time goes on. Facebook might lock your Oculus Quest to the user's environment. Not quite sure I understand that. So, short story long, I'm wondering if Facebook is playing favorites, not just with this game, but a lot of games that's buried in App Lab. Um, I think another game, Ham, you said I suspect Facebook are playing favorites with. There you go. I was trying to say it right there, Ham. Craig, the tech guy. What is good, my guy? Got to go, Ham? All right. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. Yeah, have a good one. Good, sir. And give the missus my best. So another game this buried in App Lab is a game called Gladius. It's I streamed that game before. It's one of those blade and sorcery, the swordsman type game. That's at App Labs. I think that's another game. I think it costs $13-14. Again, that's another one of those games that I think is worth every penny. I streamed it. In addition to battling other gladiators, you also have to fight lions and tigers on there. And the devs were gracious enough to send me a key to that game. I reached out to them, and they sent me a key to the game, and I streamed it. And it's a great game, but I don't think I represented the game very good because I was using snap turn and didn't realize until the stream was over that it had smooth turning. So I will definitely go back and stream that game again. But I think that is a great game, but it's also another game that is buried in App Labs for some reason. It is another game that I think should be at the Oculus store, at the official store, but it's not. So I don't know if that's a situation, when we have these situations like that, where I think that Oculus might be playing favorites, I think I'm starting to feel like App Labs might be one of those things where it's something to kind of get them off a side quest and bring them into the Oculus ecosystem, but bury them in it. It's almost like at times I wonder if it's just something that doesn't really benefit the devs that much. It's just something to get them off a side quest. Let's see here. Furnace, you said they will be able to identify who is using the quest by the environment the quest finds itself in. That's an interesting thought, but I don't think they should use that as a way to ID someone. Case in point is, my son's here right now. And when my son is here, he uses the VR headsets. And I just sit there and watch him. So it's something like that. I don't know if something like that makes sense when they just recently gave you the ability to share games. So, like, case in point, I can put my son's account down as a secondary account on my Oculus Quest, and he would have access to all the games that I bought. So to go through a situation where they're trying to, lock people because of what the environment they're in. The reason ads in VR is a big deal is the data they are selling to marketers. Yeah, which we know that that's what they're trying to do. The reason why I brought that up is because as far as the end user goes, as far as the customer goes, I think as long as it is not intrusive, if they're in the middle of playing a game and an ad pops up, that's not good. If it stops the game and they have to wait to see an ad before they can resume the game, then yeah, that's shitty. The reason why I brought this up, the Facebook ad thing, is because I think it's going to drive a wedge, and force people to make some decisions. Me as a content creator, when I review a game, do I point out that the game has ads and risk maybe being blacklisted by devs? Do I conceal the fact that the game has ads in it and then recommend that people go buy the game. Then they go buy the game and it's loaded with ads, and then they come back. Then they come back after me for not mentioning that the game had ads. From the dev standpoint, if they put the ads in their game, yeah, then they get the revenue from it, but then they might get a lot of negative reviews on the game because it's got ads in it, as Blaston is finding out right now. Or do they not put the ads in there? And then the other thing is, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because another thing that I wanted to mention is what about the games that are stuck on App Labs that's trying to get out of App Labs and get to the Oculus store? Will they give in and let ads be in their games so they can get the game off of App Labs and get it to the official store? So you said they will be able to predict what you want before you even know you want it. Like you're missing I kind of think you're missing the point. That my whole point in all this is, we get that the ads are coming. It's a matter of whether the ads are going to be intrusive or not. It's a matter of whether the ads are going to interrupt your game, so they can run a Burger King ad through there. If you're walking down the street and you see a billboard that says Burger King on it, fine. But if you're in the middle of a game and you see a giant pop-up off to your right that says Burger King, or the game itself just stops like YouTube does, where they run an ad through the middle of a video, and then you have to wait 3 seconds and then press skip ads or something like that before you can get back to the game. No, that's not good. And that's what everybody's fussing about. You said, do you remember the movie Minority Report? Yeah. They will be able to predict your future actions the same way you predict the weather. Now, what you're talking about, I kind of get what you're talking about. Now, people are already talking about the Quest 2. Not the Quest 2, the Quest, the rumored press, the Quest Pro. It's rumored that this headset might have eye tracking, and what people are saying is that if it has eye tracking and it had ads in it, the headset will track what ads you are looking at, and then they'll lock onto that and start running those kind of ads through your headset. So that's, collecting data on what you're looking at, and not so much predicting what you're going to want before you even want it. So said if they don't advertise by putting physical objects like a Pepsi can in your home space, then they're missing an opportunity. Advertising in VR could be done differently, although I'm against it. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Something like if you're walking into a room and there's a can of Pepsi on the table, then I'm all for that, because it makes it more realistic. People drink Pepsi in real life. So if I walk into a room and then there's a table that has a can that says cola on it, fine. But if it had Pepsi on it, that's fine too, because it's everybody wins that way, because they get the advertisement across. It makes the game more realistic and more immersive, and it's not intrusive. So Vitis, he said, join late. Hey, better late than never. So definitely appreciate you popping in. I'll be ready to wrap this up here pretty soon. So yeah, that situation is that's really a slippery slope with the ads, because again, content creators and devs are going to have to make a decision which direction they want to go. So with that being said, let's talk about the future moving forward. I talked at the beginning of this podcast, I had talked about whether I was going to make this a live from Wakanda podcast, and decided not to, because I just don't think the time is right to do it. Honestly, VR news kind of goes in spurts. You might get a say, yeah, you got a little deep there for a second. No, I was just responding to what you were saying. I don't think I dug too deep into it. I really think that it's going to be a situation where people are going to have to make a decision. If I review a game, I get keys from devs every now and then. So when a game comes up and I review the game, if I tell viewers that the game has ads in it, they might not buy it. If I go shoot my mouth off that ads are terrible and blah, 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 then that would get me blacklisted from devs. But if I don't mention that the game has ads in it and people go off and buy it, then they come back yelling at me because I didn't mention that the game had ads in it. It's a very slippery slope. And so I don't think that's a situation where you bring up the subject and it's like, oh, games are going to have ads in it. And it's like, oh, okay. I think it's a subject where there's a lot of different angles you could look at it. So, and if you think I got a little bit deep, that's fine. But I think that's the beauty of having opinionated podcasts, because just talking about the news, just delivering the news can be robotic and it can be boring. Okay, this game is Call of Duty releases November 28th. Okay, Battlefield releases November 29th. Okay, Ratchet and Clank releases May 13th. You know, it's going to sell for this much. That stuff's boring and it's robotic. You know, but by putting a spin on it and giving your opinion, it makes it more interesting. So, I mean, I'm subscribed to people who give their opinions, and sometimes their opinions are like, whoa, it's like way over in left field. But I would rather watch a VR. I would rather watch a video or a podcast where they go way off the tracks with their opinions versus just breaking down the boring news and just giving you the nuts and bolts and being robotic about it. So I think giving opinions is good things, whether you agree with it or not. My question is, how do you know the things you want are actually the things you wanted before they made you think, oh my God, now you're doing some crazy riddles. How do you know the things you want are actually the things you wanted before they made you think you want it? Also, being deep is a good thing. I wasn't saying that's a bad thing. No. And I mean, the way you pose that, Fartis, you make it sound as if Facebook is predicting what you want before you want it. And I don't think, that's not what they're trying to do. Of course, they're trying to get money from, advertisers. That's the bottom line. But it helps them zero in on their targets if they know what you're interested in. They will make you feel like you chose you want it. Okay. I mean, I can see something like that where I'm playing a game in VR and somebody picks up a can of Pepsi and drinking a can of Pepsi, and it might make me thirsty. It might make me want a Pepsi. Or I walk into a McDonald's in VR and somebody, grabs a burger and they eat that, something like that. I can see something like that. But if I'm in the middle of a game and a McDonald's commercial pops up and I have to wait until that commercial is up before I can resume the game, that's not going to make me hungry. It's going to make me pissed. The term influencer sounds like something that influences a person's decisions. I think that would be an accurate definition of it. And that brings me back to me saying that I would have to choose a side. I think everybody in influencers, content creators, and devs, when it comes to this ad stuff, are going to have to pick a side because It's kind of like the microtransaction thing. Some people think microtransactions are good for gaming. Some people despise it. And one thing that I'm definitely not going to be, I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers who talk about how ads are bad. Ads in ads in VR is bad. And then next thing you know, you see me talking about, join my Patreon for $15 a month, or you can send me donations at PayPal or Cash App. No, because no, you're not going to see me go that route. So, P-Tiz, you said the term influencer pisses me off, and the farter says the influencers didn't even make up the term. It was given to them. And whether or not it was given to them or not, I think it's a fair assessment, especially if somebody's got 100,000 subs, because they can influence what you do or don't buy. Which is why I believe Microsoft has paid a lot of them. Vitis, backing up to one of your comments, you said within the game themselves, ads fits well in the cyberpunk genre, big neon lights, etc. But then you have the issue where companies may not want to be associated with a dystopian environment. Again, it's one of those situations where, okay, let me try to look at it. Let me put it this way again, and I'm backing up to this. I'm backing up to this reference again. Side note: you have a very good voice. If you ever wanted to get into voice acting, thank you for that compliment. But my delivery is one of the reasons why I backed up from doing podcasts, because sometimes I find myself saying the same thing 14 different ways. Sometimes I find myself hesitating, stuttering, that kind of stuff. Because I'm doing this stuff off the top of my head. I don't have anything scripted. And I think it's best to do it that way, because when you do something scripted, it looks scripted. It can look robotic. And it doesn't look like it came from the heart. So going back to this situation where I was saying about having to choose a side, you guys heard me talk about app labs, how a lot of these games are buried in app labs and not at the official Oculus store, which I think is bullshit, because there's some really good games inside of app labs that are not at the official Oculus store. And I think part of that might be because of Oculus playing favorites. You have this official game that that's a really good game, but Oculus might not let it to the store. Like this game, for instance, Experience Golf, the prime example, a great golf game worth every single penny. Part of me is wondering if it is not at the Oculus store in favor of Top Golf Pro Putt, because that's getting a new update that's going to turn it into a full-blown golf game instead of just putting and driving ranges. Stay with me for a second, because I know it looks like I'm going off the tracks. Coming back to this game, Experience Golf is buried in app labs. What if he had a better chance of this game getting to the Oculus store if he were to put ads in this game? Would he do it? If he did it, on the flip side, it could get him to the Oculus store. But on the other side of that, it could get him a lot of bad reviews at the Oculus, in the reviews, saying, "Oh, this game is full of ads and that kind of stuff." Because I'm sure as this thing goes on, there's going to be a lot of games out there that's really, really good, but they're going to get terrible reviews just for the simple fact they have ads in them. That being said, people are going to have to pick. They're going to have to pick a side. They're going to have to make a tough decision. Let's see. What are some of the things that aren't allowed in Facebook VR games? What is the limitations that determines if something is acceptable? I don't know. I mean, but they have measures in place, for some of the social apps, like for instance, the Oculus venues. If somebody's bothering you, you can report them. The minute you like hit the report button, Oculus will it will review like the previous 15 minutes from the minute that you hit that review button, because they want video proof that somebody's harassing you. So if somebody's harassing me and I hit the report button, from the second that I hit that report button, they can go back to the previous 15 minutes because they have video of it and determine whether somebody was really harassing you or not. And if someone's harassing you, they'll take action against it. In addition to that, in games like in applications like venues, if somebody's bothering you, you can make a private bubble where if they come so close to you, their avatar will just disappear. You can choose to mute people. So whatever the limitations are, they have measures in place to stop people from crossing those boundaries. So I heard you can get your Facebook account banned if you say the wrong thing to a person who is more sensitive to another. That's what the report thing is all about. So you said also harassment is a very loose term. Yeah. And with that being said, your definition of harassment versus Facebook's version of harassment might be a world apart. That being said, not just Oculus, Sony, Microsoft, all that stuff, they're cracking down on harassment, racism, sexual discrimination, all that stuff. So I simply don't get into arguments with people in social settings in video games, because I spent a lot of money to buy games digitally. I bought a lot of games digitally on the Sony platform, on the Microsoft platform, on the Oculus platform. And the last thing I want to do is lose all that money for all the games that I played by getting my account banned. That being said, I don't find myself getting caught up in situations where I'm arguing with people and saying some nasty stuff. So if someone says shut up, might be as bad as the worst word. Everybody has different levels of sensitivity. That's right. And if you tell someone to shut up and they report you, maybe Oculus says that's not serious enough to do anything about it. Maybe they says, yeah, that is severe. We will do something about it. My whole point is I'm not going to test that to find out, because I bought a lot of games and I don't want my account getting banned. So I agree. I feel like there should be freedom of speech. Like, honestly speaking, if you want me to put it bluntly, whether I'm in VR, whether I'm playing a game on PlayStation, whether I'm playing a game on the Xbox, if somebody calls me the N-word, they just expose themselves as a racist. But at the same time, they bought the game and it should be freedom of speech. So if they want to call me the N-word, that is their prerogative. If they call me the N-word, I'm not going to go report them and be like, oh, they said this, they said that. It is what it is. I mean, matter of fact, I've even told this story before. One time I was playing Creed and I was getting ready to fight this guy in Creed. And at the start of the bell, he got up in my face and he said, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you, and called me the N-word. He didn't know whether I was black or not. The only reason why he even said it is because I chose a black character in the game. So he said it to try to trigger me, to try to make me mad. And I just said, okay, I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to knock him out. And I did it. I knocked him out. After I knocked him out, I said, fuck you or something. And then he says, give me a rematch. And then I told him, fuck you again, and disconnected. Just as much as it was my right, just as much as it was his right to call me the N-word, his prerogative, it was my prerogative to say F you to him. He paid his money. If he wants to say that word, it's his prerogative. Even though it doesn't look good, it's still his prerogative if he wants to say it. So when I was young on the street, if somebody called me the N-word, I fought them. You know, now in the age that we're in now with online gaming and stuff like that, somebody calls me the N-word while I'm playing Call of Duty. What am I going to do? Try to dox them and find out what their information is and then catch a plane to their resident so I can fight them or shoot them? I mean, when it comes to this stuff, you're going to have to learn to get thick skin, in my opinion. So, but on the flip side of that, a lot of people have thin skin. A lot of people are crybabies. So the best way to stay out of that situation is just don't say anything to them that they might find offensive. So, but that means if that means if someone's having a bad day, they can rage report people without actually justifying it. Yeah, but in my case, since I don't say anything to anybody, it's hard for me to get targeted and says he did this when not one single word came out of my mouth. When I go into Oculus venues, I don't associate with people. I just sit there and watch everybody else associate. So if I'm in Oculus venues and they say, well, Lincoln Clay said this, they report me and then they type in the explanation that he said this, Oculus is going to go back and look at that video. And when they see that I didn't say anything, they're not going to do anything about it. So in my opinion, if you're asking all these questions of what if I say this? What if I say that? What if I say this? What if I say that? That tells me at some point you plan on trying to test those policies and see how far you can get before they actually take action against you. So in my opinion, the best way to avoid that is just don't say nothing. Play amongst your friends. So it is what it is. I mean, I play amongst my friends most of the time, and I think Oculus venues is a cool social environment, and it's getting to be a lot of young people in there, younger and younger. And again, when I go in there, I just don't say anything to anybody. I just sit there and Oculus venues. I do at Oculus venues what I would do in real life. I go in there and just watch the environment and just watch people socialize. So some people theoretically could accidentally say something around their headset that gets reported. That's a possibility, but that's something I can't speak on because first of all, I live by myself and I don't use a lot of I'm kind of, I say, I use profanity every now and then, but I don't, I don't overdo it. My son's 15 years old. He better not be swearing, at least not in front of me. The only other thing I can tell you is that even like if you're wearing a headset in a room full of people and then you go into something like Oculus venues and there's a bunch of people around you, you know what? Here's a prime example. Here's a good example. PokerStars VR. I'm playing PokerStars VR, but yet I'm sitting in a room full of people at my apartment and everybody's talking. The people at that table are going to ask you to mute your microphone because they can hear everybody in the room. That being said, I would like to think that if you're wearing a headset and you're at a cookout and there's a bunch of people there making a bunch of noise, if you walk into a social setting in VR, I would like to think that out of courtesy, you're going to mute the microphone anyway, so everybody doesn't have to hear all that. It's no different than when you're playing. If you're playing with your friends on the Xbox or on the PlayStation, and their kids or their dog is barking in the background or something like that, somebody's going to ask them to mute their mic. And with that being said, I think that with that being said, like some of my friends, some of my Xbox friends, they get upset if you come in there bringing a bunch of noise in there. We've been together, my Xbox friends that I still converse with. We've been friends almost 20 years. We all met on the Xbox. So we already know to be courteous. If you come into a chat, wear a headphone, because if you're not wearing a headphone, everybody's voices comes through the TV and it echoes right back into the microphone, and it just rolls and rolls and rolls. That pisses everybody off. You got dogs barking in the background. That's gonna piss my friends off. Kids screaming all over the place. That pisses them off. So that being said, when I get ready to hook up with my Xbox friends, I already know that if I'm in an environment that's super, super noisy, mute the microphone so they don't have to hear that. So, in that sense, yeah, you sort of responsible for your environment, because I think in some sense you should be courteous. The same way, there's two sides of that coin. I get where you're coming from about freedom of speech, and you should be able to say what you want. I get that, but at the same time, I think depending on the situation that you're walking into, you should be courteous. So, but I mean, you made some, you made for some interesting subjects though, farthest thanks. So I'm getting ready to shut this down. I'm gonna get ready to talk to one of my friends, one of my Xbox friends. He bought a Oculus Quest about 4 or 5 months ago, and he said he just finished Thrill of the Fight and talked about what a workout that was. So I'm getting ready to contact him and tell him, you do a whole 12 rounds, then come back and talk to me. So, so it says, so if you're in a room with racist people around you, you're somewhat responsible for what they say? To a degree, yes. If you're going to be in a room full of people that's using the N-word, I think it would probably be a good idea to mute your microphone before you go into a social setting in VR. Because that will definitely get you reported. So in that aspect, yes, you are sort of responsible for your environment, because Facebook ain't going to listen to that explanation. If you get disciplined by Facebook and get suspended or something like that, Facebook is not going to listen to that excuse. Well, I didn't say anything. That was my aunt standing over here and said it. They ain't going to hear that shit. So it's on you. It's on you to to control that environment, to make sure none of that noise is getting in there. So it is what it is. Don't sound fair, but if you're in that kind of environment, people saying a lot of racist shit, saying a lot of offensive stuff, saying a lot of homophobic stuff, whatever the case may be, it's going to be on you to make sure that you mute that microphone before you go into that social setting in VR. Because something that doesn't bother you may bother someone else. So not everybody thinks or moves the way you do. So as long as they make that clear to the user, they won't have people complaining. Agreed. So with that being said, moving forward about what I want to do, I would really like to bring Live from Wakanda back. But I did talk about how just reporting the news is robotic and it's boring. And it's short to me, it's kind of straight to the point. Whereas if you give your opinions, the topic can last for a while when you give your opinions. Like I think it's like the Virtual Boys with Sugarhead Gaming, and I think the VR Grid. I think those two. I I've only seen a few of their podcasts, but the ones that I've seen, they were very opinionated, and I thought they were really, really good podcasts. So, so relative to my own show, Live from Wakanda, I think what I want to do is right now, like only like the hardcore people or the people who like my content in particular will tune in to my podcast. So what I want to do is once Sony starts giving us more solid information about PlayStation VR 2, that's what I want to bring Live from Wakanda back, because at that point I will be talking more about just VR. I will be also be talking about PlayStation VR 2, because over on the PlayStation side of things, there's a lot of people who have PS5s, but they don't have a VR headset, but they already said they're going to get PSVR Day 2, and they're really looking forward to it. So I'd like to attract those people too. So with that being said, once we start getting more information about PlayStation VR 2, I'm going to bring back Live from Wakanda. So hopefully soon Sony will start giving us more concrete information more sooner than later, instead of just dropping out little tidbits every 3 or 4 months. It's better to share perspective than it is to share opinion. I mean, I think sharing an opinion is good. Like when it comes to gaming, yes. I think sharing an opinion is great because it makes for conversation. It'll make you say, if you're watching the podcast, it'll make you say, yeah, I agree with you, or it'll make you say, yeah, I don't agree with you. But if the conversation is healthy and there's no screaming and cussing and, and that kind of stuff, I think it's great. So it won't be a situation where it's strictly opinion. It'll be a situation where, kind of like what I did today. I showed you guys an article. I read the article, and I gave you my take on what I thought that meant and how I felt about it. So I'd like to do more of that. And I think once we get more information about PlayStation VR, I think it'll give me more material to make a more interesting show. So with that, once we get more information about PlayStation VR 2, I plan to bring back Live from Wakanda. So opinion is part of perspective, like oxygen is part of air. Yeah. So with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. I guess YouTube doesn't like people putting out too many videos a day. So in the interest of this content spreading out, I probably won't do anything else on YouTube today. If I stream anything else, it'll be on Twitch. So I'm thinking about going ahead and streaming the final part of Ratchet and Clank. I'm ready for the final showdown in Ratchet and Clank, but I want to try to build up my weapons. I want to try to build them up as much as possible before I go into that final showdown. So sorry for the wall of text. No, you're all good. I mean, that's the whole purpose of opinions. I don't expect people to agree with me or anything like that. I mean, everybody's got their own opinions, and as long as the conversation, stays civil, it's all good. So anyway, so if I do stream anything else tonight, it'll be on Twitch. And so do make sure you tune in to my Twitch channel. Let me see here. Give me a second, and I'll put a link in the channel to my Twitch channel. There you go, everybody. That is the link to my Twitter channel. definitely subscribe or follow, because subscribe has a different meaning on Twitch. Subscribe means you're like kind of like paying for the paying for a subscription. So follow me on Twitch, because over on Twitch I'm liable to stream anything. I'm trying to spread things out on YouTube and give my streams room to breathe, so it can get spread to a wider content. Hopefully YouTube's algorithm will pick up one of these streams and spread it out, and go from there. So with that being said, I'll definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in and looking at some of this different stuff on here. But anyway, I'm going to get on out of here. Shout out to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I definitely appreciate the conversation, because that's definitely what I want, because I think it makes the podcast more interesting if people chime in and give their opinion on some of the topics that I'm covering. So, Fartis, don't apologize for anything. That's good that you came in and gave your opinions on some of these topics that I covered. So, with that being said, I'm going to boogie on out of here. You guys know the line. Wakanda forever. Long live the king. And deuces. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Really appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.